UPNG manages to reduce its debts by 20 million. Absenteeism high in the Central Police Force. And standards-based education in January.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Friday's news. The University of Papua New Guinea has reduced its debt by 20 million kina. This was achieved through establishing a strong internal audit committee with the assistance of the Finance Department. Vice-Chancellor Professor Albert Mellam said the university has made tremendous strides in cleaning up its administrative systems. This was announced today at an awards ceremony hosted by the Finance Department, where the university won the award for Best Performing Internal Audit Committee.
When Professor Mellam took over as Vice-Chancellor last year, he inherited a university that was broke. It had a debt of 65 million kina to service providers. Hidden liabilities brought the debt total to 87 million. Under the Finance Department's Public Service Audit Program, the university looked at critical governance areas that needed tightening up.
We have very much controlled the payroll system as an example, where we had leakages. Every payroll run, sometimes we had 60, 70,000 kina that we couldn't explain. But that's gone down to zero.
Part of the remaining challenge that the university has to overcome is its group tax liability.
It involves a lot of thinking, a lot of dialogue between government to figure out a strategy, a roadmap to service that.
In 2005, Public Service Audit Program was established following an amendment to the Public Finance Management Act. This amendment was made to ensure that all statutory bodies and provincial governments will establish internal audit units and internal audit committees in their management systems. Currently, there are over 30 active internal audit units and committees. Today, the Finance Department awarded UPNG the Best Performing Internal Audit Committee under this program. Along with this comes prize money of 50,000 kina. This serves as a milestone in UPNG's administrative struggles.
As long as we have good internal audits, we will see results like this. In the absence of that, we don't find good results. And I appeal to management of institutions, both in governments and states, to also work with your internal audit so that you can be able to deliver better.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, provinces are being urged to establish strong internal audit units. Deputy Finance Secretary Samuel Peñas said governors and provincial administrators should not shy away from setting up the units.
If provinces do not embrace those, you see these kind of things happening to Gulf. Gulf just started recently, but what has happened a long time ago. But they're doing a lot of improvements in their systems and process out there. But we see in provinces, maybe if governors are supportive, you see internal audit work moving forward, and administrators as well. We've had Sundown, who was the runner-up in last year. They did very well, and they continue to do that. And we see another one, Central is coming up, as well as Middle Bay.
Calls have been made by former members of the Special Joint Task Force team established in 2012 to investigate the conduct of foreign businesses and influx of illegal immigrants. This follows a public outcry on social media regarding an incident involving a G4S security guard who was bashed up by foreigners at 9 Mile recently. The task force team maintains that while foreigners are welcome in the country, they must respect nationals and operate within the laws of the country.
Following the assault on the G4S security guard Anton Wanikaimbu from Enga province at the shop in 9 Mile, public anger has escalated on social media, particularly the Voice of PNG group. Papua New Guineans posted comments on the Voice of PNG asking why there has been an increase of foreign businesses operating in the country and why citizens are mistreated by them. This case has drawn the attention of the task force. Commonly known as Immigration Task Force, it was responsible for investigating illegal immigrants, work permits breached, and human smuggling. In 2012, EMTV ran a series of reports on the arrest and deportation of illegal immigrants, such as these men who were deported back to their country of origin. The task force was coordinated by John Bria with support from officers from multi-agencies that comprise police, immigration, national intelligence organization. Together, a total of 40 illegal foreigners were arrested in Goruka for breaching visa conditions. Another 60 foreign nationals were nabbed in Ley, Medang, Wewak, Vanimo and Central Province in login camps. Immigration Task Force has since dissolved. However, with the recent influx of foreign businesses and the recent assault of the G4S guard, there has been calls to re-engage Immigration Task Force team or Rausim Alien. Bridget Komatap, National EMTV News.
Central Provincial Police Commander Laimo Asi says there was a high rate of absenteeism from policemen and women in Central during the 2014 year of police operation. He said there were reports of officers engaging in other activities like driving PNV buses and taking bribes from locals.
Ill discipline amongst members of the police force is a worrying concern for the police superiors. This year, the police department has fallen under public criticism for abuse of public uniforms, misuse of government vehicles and police brutality cases.
Overline, we have our own internal investigation unit, IIU, internal investigation unit, and we have it in Port Moresby for that matter to accommodate for ill discipline of officers. And if they are found in regard to the actions, they will be dealt with disciplinarily and likewise criminally.
At the launch of the police operations for the festive season for Central Police today, the Central PPC Laimo Asi warned its officers to refrain from engaging in other activities and concentrate on policing their communities. The festive operations will run until January next year and has received a funding support of 130,000 kina from the central government. A new 10-seater vehicle was bought for Kwikila Police Station. This is the first time in 15 years since a police station in Central has received a vehicle from the police department.
I mean, the police operations in Central Province has been joined into 14. That respective officers will take charge.
3 more vehicles will be given to Central Police before the year ends. Teklegunga, National EMTV News.
The National Court in Waigani today ordered a contractor to start removing heavy machinery at the Tuck Valley project site. Last week, Construct Oceanic Limited signed an MOU with the government to construct the much-neglected Tuck Valley Road. However, it discovered that another company had also been given the same job. The matter was taken to court, and this morning the decision was made in favor of Construct Oceanic Limited to fix the Tuck Valley Road.
Lawyer representing Construct Oceanic Limited, David Tambili, was happy with the court's decision. As it was a contractual obligation with the state, it was important for the company to execute the project within the given time frame.
On the 5th of December 2014, the actual contract was signed by the parties. So as it is now, the legal position is that the contract has already been awarded to Construct Oceanic.
Last week, Construct Oceanic Limited was awarded a 20 million kina road project to fix Tuck Valley Road. This was the first time for the company to be awarded a contract through an NEC decision. Works Department Secretary David Were said his department will support the local company to deliver on time.
Looking forward to work closely in terms of providing the necessary public relations works on the ground to see that the locals take ownership of this and contribute meaningfully to successfully completing this important and vital road project.
Construct Oceanic Managing Director Sape Molumi explained how they intend to fix the road.
The existing width of the road is about 4 to 5 meters, and only light cruisers can walk through it. It's a very tough road, and basically the road will be basic earthwork, and then widening the road up to the standard, national highway standard up to 8 meters, and replacing of culverts and other associated drainage, and eventually up to sea.
Construction works will proceed once the possession of site is signed between all parties. Bridget Komatap, National EMTV News.
Two pilots questioned over yesterday's landing at closed Arapa Airport. I'll bring you that story and more after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Outgoing opposition leader Belda Nama has again brought up his disappointment at the way Kandep MP Don Polye took over the opposition leader's seat. Speaking yesterday at the commissioning of the Kambiu LLG Rural Electrification Program, Nama told people gathered at the ceremony that he is still the opposition leader. Nama's statement comes after East New Britain Governor Erman Tobaining Jr. called off police escort for Rabaul MP Dr. Alan Marat and Nama. It's understood that the East New Britain Governor called for it on the grounds that Nama was no longer the opposition leader.
Now, after I had welcomed him, 10 days later, he decided to hold a caucus without my consent. I am the incumbent opposition leader. He held a caucus and decided to elect himself. Now, many come to complain that my name elected me media. Can we take it to court? I said, I don't fight over.
The landing of an aircraft at Arapa Airport late yesterday has been questioned by the National Airports Corporation. Two pilots flew the Tropic airplane with two passengers on board into Arapa, which was not officially opened. Officials on the ground said the pilots could face charges for breaching civil aviation regulations. Standards-based education will be taught next year, starting in the nation's capital. Acting Deputy Secretary for Education, Dr. Eliakim Apelis, said the system will be implemented starting from the elementary to lower primary level. This is the first step towards phasing out the outcome-based education system.
The outcome-based education system is slowly being phased out after its failure to deliver quality education for Papua New Guinea's children. In place of the OBE, standard-based education will be implemented in 2015, starting in the nation's capital. Acting Deputy Secretary for Education, Dr. Eliakim Apelis, said there are two main areas of the system that will be implemented next year.
In the standard-based education system, we are going to introduce standards at all levels. Standards in terms of teacher professionalism, the way teachers dress, the way teachers behave, the way teachers present lessons, the way they prepare for their lessons.
Standard-based curriculum is targeting the characteristics of the curriculum. This means that there will be standards set for literacy, numeracy and life skills that a child will have to achieve before moving on to the next level of education.
The standard-based curriculum will have standards that will be developed for each level of schooling in elementary, primary and secondary.
The change in the education system comes after many reports stating the decline in the standard of children's learning in the country. There will be a series of trainings early next year, and a nationwide program developed by the Education Department will start the training of elementary teachers, followed by lower primary teachers. Teachers in grades 6, 7 and 8 will start training in 2016. Judith Kasek, National EMTV News.
The Supreme Court has given orders that the Pagera District Women's Association be allowed to provide housekeeping services to Barrick New Guinea Limited in Pagera. In November last year, the women's group won the tender to do housekeeping at Barrick Limited. However, the former contractor, Total Cleaning and Housing Service Limited, gave them a stay order from the National Court preventing them to carry out their duties.
Yesterday, Judge Stephen Kasman set aside the stay order from the Total Cleaning and Housing Service Limited and allowed the Pagera District Women's Association to resume duties until a hearing at a later date. The association is made up of local women from Pagera District. Their president, Maria Kenseri, said the awarding of the contract gave job opportunities to their mothers.
Through all these years, Mama been suffering for so many years, 25 years, I'm always garden blongol, always good flower blongol, everything always Mama suffer for so many years. So company recognizing this plan, I'm giving this plan contract go back law or Mama.
A month ago, when they won the contract, over 1,000 people in the township of Pogera held a peaceful protest march over the termination of the other local cleaning company. Total Cleaning and Housing Service Limited Managing Director Bert Tepo expressed disappointment of the approach taken by Barrick management.
I go yana, mi blamba change him now, you blamba he go out, end of that. Now mi blamba this, why, mi blame no come any negotiation, we were asking for a random or type of negotiation. Mi blamba share work decision, we gave you those ideas, mi blamba.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Kenseri said they won the contract but did not remove the employees of the former contractor. She said the association has complied with all the requirements. Vasina Tayama, National EMTV News.
Small Business Development Corporation Coordinator Henry Coim says garment industry in Papua New Guinea will minimize the importation of cheap clothing from overseas. It provides an opportunity for people in the SME sector to venture into business by sewing quality clothes and selling them at local markets.
Nasame Overy began on how to sew since last month at the Small Business Development Center. She's one of 2,500 men and women who have come through the center. Today is the graduation day.
I'm good la school street. I'm helping me lo sustaining some kind life inside me.
The center provides an opportunity for people to engage in the SME sector. Clothes and shoes will be manufactured for sale in the local markets. The participants say if adequately supported, they can contribute to the reduction of imported clothes.
If we can, explore this industry in a proper manner, then I think a lot of our people would have been employed elsewhere somewhere, and too many people can be employed, and at the same time, a lot of people can become business people.
Since Papua New Guinea is dependent heavily on imported clothing, Small Business Development Corporation undertook an initiative to ease that onus by providing technical skills training to people. They were trained in areas of sewing and screen printing and many others. Economy will be regulated in the country as there would be less importation of foreign goods, and proceeds from this industry will sustain economic growth. Since the SPDC's establishment, funding has been limited, but center continues to function.
Certificate 1 in apparel making in the garment and textile center. I have been a professional woman throughout my entire life, but I've decided to move on. Moving on because I feel there is, there is a need for fashion to be promoted in our country. And you've just witnessed some of the garments that the women of our country can show.
Eric Aurma, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed 10 points at $0.388 in the interbank market. And at Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3815, $0.4577 Australian dollars, $0.3042 euro and 44.91 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa and copra closed lower. Palm oil and crude oil also closed lower, while copper closed higher. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 63 points higher, the ASX closed at 13 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 11 points lower. Among stories after the break, the guy who gives a new meaning to the term extreme skiing. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back to the news. Inmates at the Buimo Correctional Institute in Lae have been part of a rehabilitation program that involves agriculture. The rehabilitation program aims to challenge negative ideas that people have towards inmates. MTV's Colin Barile reports from Lae.
This is the Buimo Prison's choir ministry. They are part of the prison rehabilitation program. Here they are singing to the guests at the opening of a new perimeter fencing facility at the Buimo jail yesterday. It is not their first time to perform. They are part of the prison's outreach program that visits schools and other institutions in the Morobe province.
Domi Brukilo, but me come inside the year. By grace of God, me line plant ikut something straight inside the year. Na mi hamoma straight, osem inside the year. Me tingo sem fuen sem rauni na briko lem pasi mi pat. God am good plan, me line plant something so.
Sarah Jo is part of the choir ministry group and the outreach program. She says the rehabilitation program has changed her life and of those people around her. But inside these walls, there's no chance they'll forget why they are here, Sarah says.
You me sakim talk, recent sakim talk me come say stablo. Yeah, so me la encourage him all sem. Mas arim talk, by kama good pla Mary, maritim good pla man, or panim good pla walk. Na walk money na stop good outside because Spanish calabusem on black and blessed for feeling pain.
Boimo is one of the country's biggest correctional institutes, housing over 700 inmates from within Morobe and other parts of the country.
We are hoping that will help us to properly monitor prisoners upon admission, and you can monitor them all the way to their discharges. And that will help us in properly helping inmates through the rehabilitation programs here.
This is one of the few success stories away from a normal prison life. The rehabilitation program challenges negative conceptions we have on prisoners. For those who are part of it, it gives them many new things to start a new life once they get out of prison. Among them, pride, encouragement, and determination to achieve. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Leh.
Assistant Commissioner of the Australia Federal Police Commander, Alan Scott, says the Papua New Guinea-Australia Policing Partnership Program has grown from strength to strength. A newsletter was released signifying 1 year of the joint program. The newsletter captures the achievements accomplished through the combined operations.
Following an agreement between the Australian and Papua New Guinea governments, an additional 50 members of the Australian Federal Police were deployed to Port Moresby and Lae to work in partnership with members of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. The joint operation has seen more police visibility in local communities and suburbs.
We're happy to help out wherever we can, but it really falls into the hands of Papua New Guineans who hold these senior positions to exercise their discretion and their powers in a proper way and in a way that reinforces leadership principles.
The program aims to restore public confidence in police and inform citizens that communities can be safer if members of the public work with police. The operations have seen more community policing and foot patrols being conducted, especially at the Gordons area.
The motto for our partnership is Wak Wantam, and we've been working closely with our colleagues to deliver a more effective policing service to the citizens of Papua New Guinea.
In the first year of operation, 2 new buildings were constructed at the Boroko police station. This includes the refurbishing of other RPNGC facilities in Port Moresby station and the commencement on work for the new police headquarters in Lae, Morobe province. The AFP team will be working closely with RPNGC to plan security operations for the 2015 Pacific Games, 2017 national elections and the 2018 APEC Summit. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Turning overseas now, the CIA director in the United States has defended his agency but has admitted mistakes. The rare news conference came days after a scathing U.S. Senate report on CIA interrogations. Critics say those tactics used on captives at Guantanamo Bay amount to torture.
In a 45-minute-long press conference, CIA Director John Brennan never used the word torture to describe interrogation practices.
As I said, in some instances, I consider them abhorrent, and I will leave to others how they might want to label those activities.
In an extraordinary move, Brennan spoke to reporters defending his agency, reminding everyone of the difficult challenges after 9/11.
In our pain, we pledged to come together as one and to do what we could to prevent Osama bin Laden and his killing machine from ever carrying out another attack.
It led to so-called enhanced interrogation techniques against CIA detainees, waterboarding, being put in stress positions, deprived of sleep, chained to walls. Brennan admitted mistakes were made by some, but never said the so-called enhanced interrogation program was a mistake overall.
I cannot say with certainty whether or not individuals acted with complete honesty. When I look at what went on at the time, there are clearly the questions about why certain techniques were used.
And in the hunt for Osama bin Laden, did enhanced interrogation actually result in intelligence critical to finding him?
I am not going to attribute that to the use of the EITs, just going to state as a matter of fact the information that they provided was used.
As Brennan spoke at CIA headquarters, Senate Intelligence Committee Chair Dianne Feinstein tweet stormed. CIA helps keep our nation safe, strong. Torture does not. Brennan said there's no proof enhanced interrogation was the reason detainees offered up useful intelligence.
The cause and effect relationship between the use of EITs and useful information subsequently provided by the detainee is, in my view, unknowable.
Feinstein on Twitter. CIA says unknowable if we could have gotten the intel other ways. Study shows it is knowable. CIA had info before torture. Brennan said he does believe that coercive methods have a strong prospect for leading to false information because a prisoner or detainee will say anything to make it stop.
And to take us into True Crime Sports tonight, this next story is about the most insane ski run. A run through a gap of steep mountains so narrow it won a professional ski award.
What you're about to see is no mere ski slope. This is a man-eating crevice. Ooh, I'm getting nervous. And 31-year-old Cody Townsend is about to descend.
There was no exit plan. There was no escape.
The plunge down this Alaskan crevice lasted about 15 seconds. At its narrowest point, the walls were only 6 feet apart. Check out the helmet cam view. Top speed, 65 to 70 miles per hour.
You see that you're going really fast. You see that the walls are really close to you.
But Cody says he was very zen.
It's almost as if time slows down.
Cody's run makes James Bond's exploits on skis look almost wimpy. Child's play compared to this. So a crevice like that must have a terrifying name, right?
Yeah, it does have nicknames, but I would blush if I had to tell you what the nicknames were.
Cody's run won him Powder Magazine's Best Line of 2014 award.
So psyched.
His fellow skiers gushed.
That was the sickest line I've ever seen!
The trickiest part was at the end of the narrowest section, where there was a slight turn.
Possibly the turn of my life to not hit the wall that was in front of you.
So what's he get? Great exposure in a Red Bull documentary, the kind of fame that leads to even more endorsements, but cash? I just assumed they gave you a chunk of money to do that.
That would be morally wrong to do that, I think. No, we do it because we love it.
You think that's scary to watch? Imagine Cody's mother the first time she saw it.
She did cry, which I kind of felt bad about.
Cody didn't celebrate by partying. He contemplated accomplishing a life goal while taking in an Alaskan blood moon.
So I just kind of sat there and basked in it.
Better a blood moon than a bloody wreck.
Oh my God! That was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Taekwondo hopefuls prepare for the 2015 Pacific Games. That's coming up in True Crime Sports. Stay with us.
True Crime Sports.
Good to have you on True Crime Sports. Athletics has been identified as the sport expected to reel in the most number of medals at the 2015 Pacific Games, and a lot of pressure now lie on the shoulders of coaches Philip Newton and Sharon Hannon to upskill these athletes in time for the Games. A 55-man and women training squad have been attending a strength and conditioning training camp in Goroka at the National Sporting Institute. MTV's Lorraine Genia has this report from Goroka.
The National Sporting Institute has been housing 55 athletes and coaching staff over the past 2 weeks in the lead-up to the 2015 Pacific Games. Now, from this training camp, a number of objectives has been achieved, upskilling athletes, improving their technique, developing their mindsets and educating them on the importance of being an athlete.
In the PNG games, you've seen them, how they compete. Like, for example, the boys in the high jump, they're like raw from home and they came. And with these 2 weeks, they've improved like in their skills, their running style, the way to approach the bars.
While this camp will be of great benefit to the athletics fraternity, there are a number of challenges that lay ahead of the athletics contingent. Majority of the talent was scouted from the PNG Olympic Committee and PNG Sports Foundation joint initiative, the Talent Identification Program, and from the PNG Games held in November. With 6 months remaining till the country's greatest sporting event, athletics coach Philip Newton says bringing these amateur athletes up to medal contending standards will be his biggest challenge yet.
With this group, we only identified them last year and we only have until July next year. So getting their strength levels up to the point where they can do really good performances is going to be a challenge.
On a more positive note, Newton said with the expertise and experience of elite athletes, Toya Whistle, Betty Burwa and Debono Paraka in camp, the youngsters have the advantage of inheriting many skills required for the Games next year.
Getting to gold medal position may be a problem, but some of them are showing even now. They're right up there at medal performances from the last Games now. We just have to keep that going so it becomes a gold medal performance at next Games.
From this 55 men and women training squad, a final athletics team will be selected after the national championships expected to be held in Leh next year prior to the 2015 Pacific Games. Lorraine Genia, National MTV Sports, Goroka.
Final selections for PNG's Taekwondo team will end on Saturday, and two of the code's brightest prospects are hoping to make the cut. Francilia Coquin and Brandon Name have been brought in from the autonomous region of Bougainville and the Western Highlands respectively to join what is considered the elite team for PNG.
The young Bougainvillian was selected after impressing in the Bougainville Games and also at the recent PNG Games in Leh as well. Training at such a high intensity has also improved her ability, and she has found that too a confidence booster.
Me go inside, kasi me even got aim na me go inside, lo me must go kisi something as a goal.
She has found the entire experience inspiring.
Big blood something and me aim and me like making something, lo making PNC na Bougainville Bahamamas.
She is the last of 9 children, with older brother Colin, also a fighter, although sibling rivalry hasn't been an issue.
Lo family blo mi play mo se mem taekwondo family na start lo second born brother blo mi all get us a train, so me come up one time idea where bami join ni mo na at least one plus sister blo all join this taekwondo.
Brendan Name is another young prospect. Switching from rugby league to a solo sport wasn't easy, but he's relished the challenge. Like Francilia, he too is looking to make the final squad.
Feeling where me not experiencing before, me no been take part this an event before, come lo camp this and first time blow me. Nah, me just feel I'm a master line mo nubla sanding. So if me line planting, me can go back na teach student blow me back long house.
Having taken time off school to fight has been a big risk as well.
So I was so picky, I'm still by me continue the training. Even me go out to school or I'm still by me start the training.
For both, however, representing the country is both an honor and a privilege, and one they haven't taken lightly.
Be ready na me stop.
Slam, so I was so putting me going to slab, but me do make him the best do me out of slab. Like Harinim blo PNG go on top, netly a gold medal blo PNG.
Jeremy Moggy, National MTV Sports.
And in cricket, rising batsman Lega Siaka was named a Community and Development Rookie for the Melbourne Renegades this week for the KFC T20 Big Bash in Australia. The 21-year-old lad from Hanuabara caught the eyes of scouts when he made 103 runs on his debut as a Barramundi at the one-day international qualifiers earlier this year. Last month, he capped 109 runs against Hong Kong, becoming the first Papua New Guinean to score a century in a one-day international match. Siaka currently plays for the Essendon Cricket Club. He will join his Barramundi's teammates this weekend to end their South Australian Cricket Association Premier League campaign in Adelaide. And we have overseas sports coming up, including a roundup of Test cricket action. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. Well, 10 years in the business and the hope of another few years remaining in her sporting career, one of PNG's greatest sprinters, Betty Burwa, is destined for gold at the 2015 Pacific Games. And following the Games next year, Betty aims on taking her career one step further as she has her heart set on representing Papua New Guinea at the 2016 Rio Olympics.
A confined young woman due to her sporting commitments, Betty Burwa has very little concerns on what people think of her, as representing her country and finding self-satisfaction out of what she does is what drives her to becoming the best in her field of events.
Not to think about what other people think of me. I try to focus on myself and go out there and just give the best that I can. I set goals. And
Betty's hunger for success and determination is what defines her as an athlete and as an individual alone.
At the beginning, it was just like having fun coming out here and running and trying to beat each other on the track. But as time goes by, you got to put in a lot of hard work and sacrifice. And
a key contributor to her success over the last 10 years, Tony Green, has developed Betty into one of Papua New Guinea's greatest ever track and field athletes, and for that she remains forever grateful.
From the beginning, he was the one who supported people like myself and Toya Whistle and other athletes. We are who we are because of him.
The Games next year will be a great testimony to Betty's goals and aspirations.
Trying to qualify for the last Olympics in London, I missed out and I didn't get in. So I'm still hungry to do that, and so I still want to run and try to qualify by merit and make it to Rio.
Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Sir John Dawanikura, President of the PNG Olympic Committee, is confident that there will be good results in the 2015 Pacific Games. Sir John acknowledged the support from the PNG government and the PNG Sports Foundation, along with the Pacific Games Organising Committee Chairperson, Emma Waiwai.
The PNG Olympic Committee, stakeholders and other corporate sectors are vying for the most successful games in PNG next year. Sir John Dawanikura said each of the national federation has given fundings to prepare athletes in their respective teams by organizing national training camps, international events, and most of the high-level competitions, and also to run other training programs. A three-day national coaching conference will be held in Port Moresby on the 9th to the 11th as a refresher course for the national coaches, team managers, and technical officials. A medical training session will also be carried out during the conference.
Focus on the athletes, we still have to do training for our technical officials as well as our team managers and respective coaches, so that we become one big happy family in Team PNG. So all systems go, and we really don't have any excuses, and our success is in our hands.
Chef de Mission General Manager Lid Isaac is supporting the Chef de Mission Board in helping the PNG Olympic Committee prepare athletes and coaches for all 28 sporting codes.
We have a program in place to not only assess the athletes, but we also have processes in place to assess the coaches and the managers as well, so that everyone's in sync, everyone knows what they're doing leading up to the games. So that because there is a high expectation for Team PNG to perform well.
He said one of his responsibilities is to go into villages in the National Capital District, making sure all athletes are well and managed and prepared for the 2015 Pacific Games. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
Over to Rugby League, Arama Coast are the champions of the inaugural Central Province Premier Rugby League competition after beating Gualala Karukas 11 points to 4 at the newly opened Wagula Park at Maupa in the Central Province. The home side, who also took out the minor premiership at the end of the season proper, took home the Kilahauda Cup and 20,000 kina cash prize. MTV's Efata Samuel reports.
Let us sing of our joy to be.
The national anthem by the beautiful Noelin Kala set the stage for the grand final of the Kila Hauda Cup in the inaugural season of the Central Province Premier Rugby League competition at the newly opened Wagula Park at Maupa Village in the Central Province yesterday. Koilala were first to draw blood when Port Moresby Vipers centre and Karuka prop Nico Dom barged his way over to score. Captain Dio Allen missed the conversion. Aroma Coast capitalised when a superb inside pass from halfback Namai Chris put Ariava Manuma through a gap and scored under the uprights. Hooker Wari Maru converted to take a 6-4 lead into the break. A field goal and a try towards the end by youngster Rex Hura sealed the 11-4 victory and claimed the inaugural Kila Hauda Cup and 20,000 kina cash for his Aroma Coast side. The gallant Koilala side settled for 12,000 kina and were gracious in defeat. An elated Aroma Coast captain Roa Kila could not hide his delight as he hoisted the Kila Hauda Cup. Aroma Coast halfback Namai Chris got the Man of the Match award, while teammate and centre Rex Hura took out the perpetual Jack Kedare Trophy as the 2014 Central Province Premier League Player of the Year. PNG RFL Chairman Sander Saka revealed that 2 spots would be made available for 2 players from Central Province to represent PNG at the Cabramatta Nines in Sydney in January 2015.
I will leave it to Jack Kedare and his team to nominate 2 players for the Cabramatta Nines in Sydney. We'll take 2 players from this comp. Thank you for a beautiful day today. Thank you for everybody for making it possible.
Governor Kila Hauda congratulated everyone involved for a successful season and pledged to continue his support.
On behalf of the government of Central Province, leaders of Central Province, people of Central Province, now I present this trophy, Kila Hauda Cup, to the winners of this competition, which has been well run this year. Thank you very much, Mr. Kedai and all of us of league. Thank you.
In the earlier match, Query Nagawas took out 3rd placing and 9,000 kina cash after a close 6-4 win over Hiri West Bulldogs, who took home 7,000 kina. Efata Samuel, National EMTV Sports.
Overseas to cricket, Nathan Lyon has spun Australia into a winning position in the first test in Adelaide on the very pitch he used to look after.
This time he's got him. There's 5-wicket haul for Nathan Lyon. Well bowled.
Nathan Lyon has waited for this moment. The moment to prove once and for all he's test class.
Congratulations, Nathan Lyon. His second 5-wicket haul in Australia. Well done.
Today he bamboozled India, completing a 5-wicket haul and putting Australia in a position to win.
And taken.
Rohit Sharma hit one back.
Gets it up there again and gets a reward. Big wicket.
Riddiman Saha may have been unlucky.
Doesn't look like there was.
While Ishan Sharma got one which popped off the pitch. Then his gloves.
5-wicket haul for Nathan Lyon. Well bowled. Really well bowled.
Not even this forgettable falcon by Peter Siddle stopped Lyon.
And dropped. Dropped. Well, that's a sitter.
But his big test comes tomorrow when, on a deteriorating wicket, his captain and teammates will look to him to put India to the sword. Australia have used 13 spinners since Shane Warne retired 7 years ago, searching for a game breaker. The answer hasn't come. Lyon has been the most consistent, 33 tests for 112 wickets at 32.99. But this year he has struggled, and in the recent 2-test series against Pakistan, took just 3 wickets at 130, while the opposition spinners ran riot. His place in the team was on the line. It mightn't be tomorrow, after digging deep on the ground where he used to mow the grass.
Lyon's performance wasn't the only great effort from the Australians today. David Warner scored 102, his second century of the match. It was a fantastic effort and helped Australia amass a massive lead of over 360. They'll try and bowl India out tomorrow. And also Steve Smith completed an innings of 52 not out to go with his 162 not out in the first innings. Fantastic day's play here at the Adelaide Oval.
To take on our sporting news tonight, I'll bring you all the weather details coming up after these short messages.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
A quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region. Evening rain and thunderstorms expected in all centres. In Momase, late evening showers expected in Lae and Madang. In New Guinea Islands, fine and sunny in Kavang and Buka. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres thunderstorms with rain, then morning fog. And that has been a National EMTV News this Friday, the 12th of December 2014. On behalf of the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks for your company. You take care and have a safe weekend. Good night.